Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building a Nation, the Analysis Days. It is Season 10, we've just finished it. Going to do the usual analysis stuff. I'm trying to condense them a bit so I don't ramble quite as much, so we can get a bit more to the meat of things. So we're just going to jump straight in, frankly, with Alberto Freitas, who we're going to do the squad report first, of course. You might notice, of course, that a lot of them I have the asking price set to like $1,000. That is essentially to stop the board from selling them, because I've seen people tweet me a lot that players, they've been getting sold out from under them with Polonia because the board are accepting offers because they're too good to turn down when they're in fact not. So in theory, if all the offers are fairly low, then it does stop the board from doing that. And so far, it's been successful. It does, as you will obviously understand, attract more interest in the players, but as long as you can keep them happy, and so far we've done a reasonably good job at that, we should be all right. So here's Freitas, best player in the team. He's got 19 strength. 6'5", great heading. He's just been an absolute monster this year. I mean, 7 goals in all competitions, 6 in the league is truly outrageously good. He's probably going to win Player of the Season, and long may it continue. Still no cap for Portugal, despite being as good as he is. That is crazy to me, but I feel like it will come, and then his wages will go through the roof. Jacobo Garcia, he's played most of the first half of the season, still got that inconsistency. I swear he didn't have that before. But you can see his potential just starting to be realised a little bit more, but he's already got to a decent level at the club so far, so I think he's definitely the best we have in that position right now. But Orozco is definitely getting game time as well, so it's good to have both of these two around. Jan hasn't really got, in fact he's been out on loan for most of the year, so we can kind of ignore him for now. Brian Gorosito, I think he's been a really successful signing for us this season. I think this was the best piece of business we did last summer, really, other than Ernesto Peralta. Despite the inconsistency problems, I think he's been excellent for us this year. Despite his poor finishing as well, he's got 7 league goals, 9 goals in all competitions. He's got some assists as well. He's done really, really well for us. He's had a few injuries, which has definitely not helped. He's only played 21 league matches, so I feel like he probably could have broke double figures if he just not been injured so much. There's a couple of these that I might look at, but I still think he's been an excellent piece of business. Lervik, I think he's done well for us this season. He's been an excellent backup. 8 assists this year, along with Albarracin on the left-hand side. He's made a huge difference rather than having to rely on someone like Nikolic or Rösa, but he will be moving to Atletico in the summer. Jake Hughes, I think he's done solidly for us as well this season, frankly. Bringing in a player like this from Chelsea for the season, I might try and get this guy back again next year, in all honesty, because he's played well. 7.48 in the league, couple of goals, solid defensive performances all round. Actually, he has a 100% tackles won ratio in the league. That is outrageous. I'm genuinely flabbergasted by that. He's played 26 matches this year and he's never lost a tackle. Jesus Christ, that is insane. I'm definitely going to try and get him back next year. Przemysław Jamrok, of course, my man. He's sort of falling away now, really, but he's still played a decent amount of games this year and has done all right for us, to be honest. He's still putting in the performances, so I can't really knock him for that. Kevin. What is there to say about my man Kev? He is just continuing to impress me. He's rated as a wonder kid, which does suggest to me... Also, someone told me that having the comes deep to get the ball trait is actually quite good for our attacking mids, so I might even be tempted to put Zvegawa onto that, maybe. But look at this, Kevin. I mean, look, 17 starts and 16 off the bench. He actually has played a fair amount of matches, but 9 goals and 7 assists is bloody fantastic, to be honest. 13 goals and 8 assists this season in all competitions. For a guy that, has basically been a bit pop. I mean, he has started a fair number of league matches, but that is a tremendous return that he's got for us so far. And if he keeps developing, then so be it. He's going to get a Spain cap one day, I'd say. Blazer Lizic, I think he's done all right this year. He's started 24 league games, only 4 goals and 4 assists. It's not the end of the world yet that he's not lighting up the stage just yet, but he's slowly but surely getting there. He's got 10 goals and 35 appearances. Remember, still only 17 years old, long way to improve with him. Oh, and he does appear to have some cons coming back into his game again now. There you go. Moving on to Marcin Mazur. The guy is my hero. Kept those 2 Champions League clean sheets that basically put us through. Like, yes, there was the Inter game, but Mazur, brilliant lad. Mikulski, I can't believe he's still here. He's actually gone out on loan, and his contract still doesn't expire yet. Crazy stuff. Militic, how's he done out on loan? He's played a fair number of games, actually, for Valencia. That's interesting. If they do want him in the summer, I'd be tempted to sell, to be honest. Nikolic, he's not played that much when he's been at Lechia, which is a bit of a shame, really, and he's got a torn abdominal muscle too, which definitely isn't helping his development either. Juan Orozco has played a lot more towards the end of the season, and he's done a decent job, a few goals in there. It's nice to have Garcia and Orozco both really, really developing in that centre of midfield, so we've got options there, and both still nice and young as well. He's got a lot of under 21 caps or under 20 caps. Don't know if he'll ever get a full one though. I'd like to think he would do. Edwin Palacios has been out on loan at Stade Rennais this season. He's played a decent number of matches for him, 35 games this season, which is at least helping him develop a little bit. And remember, we've still got him as well. That's a third player that we've got in that position, and he's still developing. You know, it was a good experience for him playing at Stade Rennais. They stayed up as far as I know. Mr. Pandurovic, still an absolutely fantastic centre-back for us, and is definitely, other than his heading ability, I think he's just a solid player. He's got 94 appearances for us this year. That would be quite something. 94 appearances in total. Still not too bad. He's unhappy with the training. We'll have a look at that as well, I suppose. Patino has kind of just fallen off a little bit this year. He's definitely been under the cosh a little bit of Diego Silva, and he might be one that we would potentially look to move on because he's on a lot of money, and maybe he's the kind of player that we could get decent cash for. He's only made 7 starts this season. And I do think that maybe with Bonavento coming through, Patino might be one to move on. It just if the price is right. Nicholas Pauls, bit of a regretful signing in a way. I think I signed him at a time when I thought this guy could really do something for us, but maybe he still will. Maybe I've just not used him as much as I should have done. Only really made 5 starts this year. He's got 3 goals though, so maybe there's a bit more to him that we need to explore next season. Peralta, wow. I mean, he has really been a success for me this year. 13 goals. Well, 15 in total and 7 assists. That's a pretty good return. It's not quite Rafael Rodriguez numbers, but the goal scoring side of things is decent. He's just not quite provided as many as I would have liked, and maybe that's why Lisek hasn't been quite as successful this year over on that left-hand side. But still, really impressed with Ernesto Peralta. There is a guy I'm looking at that could actually supersede him, though, and if that was the case, the money could be a potential one. I mean, if someone is interested, Stuttgart. I don't know if they'd have that kind of money, though. Siratsky, I assume he's been out on loan, so he's not really that important for us this year. Diego Silva has just established himself as our starting defensive midfielder now, and you can see why, because he's actually putting up good average rating numbers from the defensive midfield slot, and he's just tearing things up for us. What a player this guy is. Now, he's on a lot of money. I think he's actually probably one of our highest paid players, but he does the job, and then some. He's a great passer of the ball. He's a very good passer of the ball. Actually, look at it. 93% pass completion in the league is tremendous. Even in the Champions League, he's put up performances. I think maybe in the league, trying him out as a Segunda Volante might not be such a bad idea to really give us an attacking intent. But in Europe, he's still doing a decent job there, I'd have to say. Valerie, been out on loan this year. Don't really care what he's done, to be honest. Victor Hugo. 9 goals this season, 5 assists. It's not the end of the world. He's done pretty well, to be perfectly honest. I'm still impressed with the lad. I feel like he's still kind of at his peak, though, and I don't really know how much better he can get. But he's got, again, 94 games for us. I was expecting players to have over 100 by now, but I guess that's only in the league, and we only have 37 games this season. Victor Luis, still, he's one for the future. He's getting a few little games here and there this season, and he has sort of done all right, to be honest. So, maybe he could have done with going out on loan, but no one really was offering him. So I guess keeping him around was probably the best. How did old Haldor do at Norwich? Pretty average, really. But playing in the Premier League is definitely not bad for experience. And also, I think in terms of reputation, that could help him, if nothing else. Because I think maybe he might be one that does move on in the summer, in all honesty. Then again, I don't know. We'll see about that. Davor Vinjevic, he is one, particularly with his injury-prone nature, that might be worth a punt at maybe just starting to move out of the club, particularly if we could get Jake Hughes and maybe bring someone else in. I don't know yet. We'll have a look at the actual stats. Albarracin, still super happy with him. Amazingly, only 3 assists this season, but it's because he doesn't have the best stats here, and that's why I think Lervik's done well in that role. But Albarracin has definitely been an excellent player for us, just from more of the defensive side of things. Oh my god, look at the amount of clubs that is interested in him. 22. Bonavento, similar kind of story for him, but I feel like there's a long way to improve for him yet, and he does need more time. He's only made 7 substitute appearances. I think a loan spell might have done him some good, but I think next season, he's probably going to be second choice, so he will definitely be sticking around the club. Campagnaro, really been pleased with him again, frankly. 5 goals, 5 assists this year. He's doing a decent job. I did try to offer him a new contract because he complained, but he wanted nearly 30 grand a week as the base wage, and I'm just not doing that. He's still got 2 years left on his deal, and I'll move him on before I give him 30 grand a week. There's no way he's worth that. I think it's his agent. Something about him is just not a good deal for us. Hell no. Somalia Kande has been superb as well. 9 assists in the league for us this season. Tremendous performer from both defensive and attacking threats. 6'7". If we could get him back for another season, that would be tremendous as well. The ones I want back, I want Jake Hughes and Kande back, to be honest, because they've done so well. Just moving on to Carballo. He's played a few games in the first half of the year, but kind of got phased out once Gorosito was fit and ready to go. Carballo, again, might be one I'll start to look at, maybe starting to nudge out of the club a little bit, because he's on 10 grand a week, and we could probably get decent money for him, at least 5 million, I'd have to say. And then it's my man Zviggy, and you can see, look, the potential here, but like, I just feel like he's performing so well. 28 appearances in the league, 22 goals, 10 assists. I can't really fault the guy for his effort. He is a freaking fantastic shadow striker. He has all the attributes that we want for that role, and he's continuing to improve. So I'm going to keep him around, keep him going. He's doing well. Just ignore this for now, really. It's just a bit of a misnomer. Vasil El Khatib is probably... No, he's still going to be here for another season. How did he do this season? He actually played more times for Lechia than he has for us, to give you an idea. Falcao, been out on loan again at Gornik. Actually played for them in a pretty solid season for them this year and scored a goal. So fair play. That's nice to see him doing all right there. Although it doesn't appear that he's going to be able to develop that much beyond that. Wojciech Vyarczyk, yeah. I mean, he's sticking around, obviously, because, you know, he's a favourite of the players at the club. And he's a bit of a hero to a lot of people. But I do think that he's pretty much... his time is kind of up here in terms of actually being a player that could make a difference for us. Ruben Franceschi, I don't care that he's 3 stars. The guy's a god. He's conceded 7 goals in 28 appearances this year. He concedes a goal every 4 matches. 21 clean sheets is outstanding. Even in the Champions League, he's not been awful, but he's just been up against it quite a bit. He'll be staying, no doubt about that at all. I don't even want to look for another goalkeeper right now, unless someone amazing comes along. But frankly, we've got Ruben Franceschi, and I love the guy to death, so I'm more than happy to keep hold of him. So, Alberto Freitas, we're back to the start. Let's get into the stats. One of these days, we're going to finish above Gornik in the pass average one, but they are just such a passy team that hold on to the possession so well. We should be up there. 8 penalties, 8 scored. I think Zvigawa scored every single one of those, but we'll have a look at that. Headers won, nice, we're up towards the top. Headers won ratio, good. That's much more like it. We're winning a lot in the air because we've got big, tall lads. Yellow cards down towards the bottom, only 26. That's a good sign. No red cards this season at all. The only team without any red cards, which is very, very nice. Top goal scorers, of course, 91 goals. Legia did score 72, so they're definitely a scory team, it's fair to say. Cross completion, wow, 20%. That is huge. I want to see who's been achieving those crosses, because that suggests a lot to me. 377 of those completed. Goals from corners, 10, really nice. Direct free kicks, we've got 4 of those too. Zvigawa's done brilliantly from that. Goals from indirect free kicks, we've got a few of those too. Pass completion, finally, we've finished above Gornik. It must have been bloody close on that one. Passes completed, they did complete more passes by quite a steady amount. Wow. Amazingly, we're actually not the highest chances created team this year, despite the number of goals we've scored. That's interesting that Swansea was so high on that one. And Legia are actually finishing above us too. Shots on target ratio. Oh, that needs to be higher, guys. That needs to be higher. But shots on target overall is definitely the most. Conversion rate, yeah, that's the thing. If ours was like 13%, we'd have scored over 100 goals and probably won every game. There's just been a few little issues here and there. But we'll take a look at that with the actual player stats. Fouls against us, fair enough. Dribbles per game, 8. Still the most, no surprises there. Best defence in the league, 11 goals conceded this season in 37 matches. 1 from a corner, 1 from a free kick, and 2 from indirect free kicks. So literally, we'd only conceded 7 goals from open play this season, which is outrageous. And really pleased with that. Conceded from corners, 1, which is brilliant. Direct free kicks, we conceded 1 of those. We all saw that in the Gornik game. Indirect free kicks, a couple. Most of the bad ones of those have been from Champions League stuff, unfortunately. Clean sheets, 27 is the most. Brilliant stuff. Fouls made down towards the bottom. Great. Tackles, I feel like I'm wrapping this out now. My flow. No, ignore that. Good God. Tackles 1, 90%. Brilliant stuff. Penalties conceded, none. Great. Average rating. Average attendance is better than it was. We're nearly selling out. We're right up there. How many stadium sellouts have we had? 10. That's not bad, really, when you consider that there's what? Probably like 15 maximum. Highest attendance, obviously, was 10,725. Our lowest attendance, though, 8,200. Ain't too bad, to be honest. Net transfer spend. Katowice spent 18... That's the net spend as well. They did sell some players. 18.65 million, and they didn't get in the championship group. You absolute mugs. Lechia spent 4 million. We spent 3.1 million in terms of net. That, just to give you an idea of how much we're functioning on. And I mean, the next one is just going to be outrageous. They are spending nearly 16 million a year on salaries, and they can't even get in the championship group. Like, we're doing well for what we've got, but the fact that they're spending that much and just aren't achieving anything, and you know for a fact they're going to go and do the same thing again, because you can see their balance on the club page. Let's see. How much have they got in the bank at the moment? We'll be able to see. 26 million. They're going to spend a load more money in the summer again. They've always been topping it up there. Owner loves the club and they're secure. They're just going to keep spending money. I'll be very interested to see who they bring in this summer, because I think they really just need to have a season where they qualify for Europe. And, I mean, yeah, they just need to pull their finger out is all I'm saying. Right, let's get into the player stats while we're here, because this is where things start to get very interesting. Let's see. Games won. Kevin, 26 games won. I guess he's made a lot of substitute appearances. That's still very interesting. Lebo Gang. That's a great name. He's got the most yellow cards. We've got no one on there at all. Red cards, someone's been a naughty boy twice. In fact, a couple of people have, in fact. Man of the Match awards, Marek Polak. Hasn't gained any more since I actually showed you that guy. And he's 27 years old as well, which is very interesting. When did he come through then? Because if he's 27, he must have been generated at some point. Kevin, amazingly, has the most Man of the Match awards. When he plays well, he plays very, very well. Distance covered, that's not what we really want, is it? We want per 90 minutes. And, well, oh, that's not what we want. Oh, my days. No one on there, but look at the average rating. We have the top 8 players in the league are all ours. And then there's Cecilio Dominguez in there. And then it's Anthony Campagnaro in 10. So 9 of the top 10. And there's also Janusz Zaborowski. Holy crap. What a season the 26-year-old has had for Sandica. Kept them in the league as well. Oh, I'm really pleased for him. That's amazing to actually be, 12th best player in the league. Then there's Diego Silva in there. We've got Lisic, number 16, still had a bloody good year. Orozco in there. Even Kevin's getting on there too, which is really nice. Headers 1. Freitas, no surprises there. Goals, top scorer, Mateusz Zwigoła, 22 goals this season in the league in 28 appearances. Can't go wrong there. Peralta, 13 goals. Kevin with 9 is actually on there as well. Average minutes per goal, he has the best in the league. Slowly followed after that with Peralta. And Victor Hugo's in there too, he just didn't play enough. But for Zviggy to really, he's basically got a goal every game and a bit. Shots as well. 168 shots. No bloody wonder he's got so many goals. Shots on target, 75 shots on target. What's his actual shots on target percentage, though? Freitas at 53. Peralta at 64 is very good. Conversion rate. Victor Hugo, 22. Peralta, 17. Team goals. Kevin has been on the pitch for 82 goals. Zviggy's actually scored 6 out of 6 penalties this year, and Victor Hugo scored 1, and I think, don't know who, someone else, Peralta might have got 1? 6 out of 6, though. That is a real stat buff he's got there. Assists. Oh, no. Maurizio got one on the final day. Zwigoła with 10 assists, though. Conde with 9. Lervik, 8. Kevin, 7. Hugo and Campagnaro down there on 5. Key passes. Wow, Paszkowski. Who's this guy? Who are you, my friend? I was about to click scout, but... is he attracting any interest from elsewhere? Basically, I'm just trying to keep an eye on these sort of players because... if they are about to leave the country to go to a big foreign club, I'd be tempted to bring them back and loan them back to their club. That way we keep them in Poland. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. Because lots of people say, like, oh, you should sign Polish players from foreign clubs. There's so few of them, and they're all at big clubs. That's why they've left. The money just isn't there. Like, for example, like Wasilewski that plays for Wolfsburg. Yeah, he's great, but we don't have 50 million to be spending on him. Chances created. Hello, Busaid. Now he's a real player. I'm not that interested in him, to be honest. Emiliano Diaz, Steven Algenmuller, which is a brilliant name, I have to say, is a striker. Wow, it's good to see a striker creating chances. Zwigoła's created 10 this season, though, which is not bad, and Gorosito 9. That shows a lot for me. Pass completion, 93% for Diego Silva. What a player. Orozco at 90 and Garcia at 89. We'll have a look at that more in a minute. Cross completion ratio, 25% though for Lervik. The guy, and Lisic as well, really loves a cross. Maybe a bit more of that. Peralta at 2.2. Lisic is already up there, which is nice. Offsides were not that important about that. Wow, that is insane. Garcia's only been on the pitch for 5 goals conceded this year, and that's in 23 appearances. And in a way, Conde's is more impressive because that's actually 23 starts. Tackles per game, no one in there at all. Mistakes leading to goals, hopefully no one in there at all. Good stuff. DeAndre Yedlin of Arca. DeAndre Yedlin has made a lot of mistakes. Presumably one of them was going to Arca. DeAndre, what are you doing, lad? In fact, let's just have a little gander at his career while we're interested here. So Sunderland, as we know, Spurs, Newcastle for bloody ages, then Real Salt Lake, and then somehow decided that, yeah, I'm going to go sign for a Polish side. I mean, fair play to you, lad, but it's just a strange choice. Key tackles, Romercio. He's had a good year as well. Bloody hell, 13 key tackles. Peda in there. I love that guy so much. Pogon have got a few good players, actually, that really kind of standing out, to be fair. We've got no one on here at all. Key headers, Zwigoła, 75, and Freitas, 64, is very nice. Interceptions, no one on there whatsoever. Key headers 1 is not a huge... Sorry, headers 1, it's no surprising that Conde is up there, given that he is 6 foot 1,000. Shots blocked. Svein Michalski was a player I was looking at a few seasons ago, and I'm kind of glad I didn't put the bid in the end, but wow, he went to Katowice for, I think it was decent money, wasn't it? Well, some money, and that literally didn't play for them at all. Classic Katowice behaviour. That is some proper panhandle behaviour right there. Conceded, goalkeepers, Ruben Franceschi, 7 goals conceded. Clean sheets, annoyingly, he somehow... to be fair, Maka, what a season for him as well. Like, 21 clean sheets in 36 is still freaking amazing. Saves held. Also, and that's kind of making sense. So let's get into the proper meat and bones bit of this. Okay, so centre-backs. It's basically been a case of Freitas has played the most, Pandurovic and Hughes have alternated, and Vinjevic has filled in where needed. So that's kind of the way we're going to look at it. Freitas And it kind of plays out here, in fact, just like that. Freitas slightly better on the passing. All the others, though, reasonably nice to do with that. Not really that bothered about the number of passes completed overall, but it is interesting that Vinjevic has made so many. Maybe that would come down with a bit more time. Team goals scored per 90 minutes. It's all fairly sensible, and they're not really the ones scoring them, so I'm not that important with that. But what I am interested in is this. Key passes. Pandurovic and Freitas out in front, as you'd expect, but Pandurovic with a really nice bump in key passes. Vinjevic, again, just sort of slipping off the bottom end of that, but Jake Hughes is within the reasonable margin. Right, now, defensive side of things, key. Hughes and Freitas, no surprises there. Pandurovic, not too bad. Vinjevic, not too bad, but again, coming out on the bottom there, but it does appear as though Hughes and Freitas, particularly Hughes, particularly with his 100% tackles won ratio, I can't get over that. I realised that Vinjevic also has one, but Hughes has played 3 times, 2,100 minutes, and he's not lost a single tackle all season. That is outrageous stuff. Fair play to the lad. Interceptions as well. Vinjevic has done pretty well with that too. Freitas, Hughes, Pandurovic down on the bottom side of that one. And what about headers won? I guess it's more to do with the height on that one. Freitas is still not great in the air, considering he's 6'5". I don't know why that is. They're not running a great deal, but he has got he's done so much for us from the attacking perspective, and just looking at the potential side of things. Like, I feel like Vinjevic, if there's a decent bid, I would be tempted to sell, but only if I can bring someone else in who's going to definitely do a job as a backup, and we've yet to really be able to do that. Pandurovic, I want to keep. Freitas, obviously, I want to keep with everything, every fibre of my being. And if we can keep Jake Hughes for another season, or even arrange like a 2-year loan deal with Chelsea, I think I'd be very, very happy to do that and develop him at the club and get him bedded in and basically treat him as if he's our player. If we get a 2-year loan deal like I did with Kane Pavey, I'd be very impressed. My issue is, though, but because he's 21 years old, Chelsea might want to give him football. Then again, it is Chelsea, so we're relying on the fact that they're going to behave like Chelsea in the game as well. So for that, I still think we need to go after a young centre-back. If we can try and bring a sort of 17, 18-year-old in to try and back up these guys and give ourselves a bit more functionality there, and maybe move Vinjevic on, just because you can start to see him starting to fall off the pace a little bit. But they've all been brilliant this year, to be fair. Can't fault them at all. Right, full. So this is kind of a straight-up comparison. It's nice that we've actually got a decent level of fullback here at the club. So basically, we're comparing Kande and Yamrog, and we're comparing Albarracin and Hol Lervik. My prediction is going to be that Kande just outstrips Yamrog, but maybe not as much as you might think. And then the fact that Lervik is more of an attacking-minded player and Albarracin is better at the defensive side. That's my predictions anyway. So let's go. They've all got decent minutes. Assists per 90 minutes. Kande actually really, really high on that one too. Massively more than Yamrog. And that to me is, I mean, you can see the fact that he's got 10 assists and Lervik's got 9. Those two have really contributed a great deal of attacking abilities this year that have put Albarracin in his place, to be honest. He's just not been as good going forward as Lervik. It's undeniable. What about chances created? I assume it's a similar story. Kande out there. Yamrog's done alright for chances created, to be fair, but they've just not turned into goals. Albarracin has been very, very bad, but again, Kande standing out like a sore thumb. A 6'7" sore thumb, who's been brilliant in that category as well. Pass completion, Albarracin, 81, tied at 81. They're both literally tying with each other. Key passes per 90 minutes is kind of where we're more interested. Kande, again, up there massively. Beating out Yamrog. But interestingly, Albarracin is creating more key passes than Lervik. So that is interesting. But they're just not putting the chances away. Because that's quite a drop. Kande, again, winning comfortably. Yamrog definitely the best dribbler of the bunch, though. In terms of shots on target, I mean, it doesn't really matter about that. But this is where it really stands out. Lervik, 25% cross completion is astonishingly high, to be honest. Albarracin at 16 is still pretty damn good. Yamrog actually outdoing Kande, but Kande's just obviously putting more crosses in overall. But that is astoundingly good. Because it's not like he's not putting them in. 25% is ridiculous. Maybe we'll get him back on loan next year, but I just don't see that happening somehow, in all honesty, because he's gone to Atleti now. Seems a bit unlikely. Team conceded. Yamrog, pretty solid on the defensive side of things, but not that much better. And again, Lervik's actually been brilliant from the defensive standpoint too. He's just outshone Albarracin this season. And that's really, really noticeable, in fact, how much better he's been in virtually every area, which is impressive for a player who I would consider to be one of our best. Tackles won ratio, it's a similar story. Kande, brilliant, 98%. Albarracin struggling a little bit on that, but he does at least have decent on the interceptions. That's what I would say, vastly better. So I guess you could say that he's not having to make the tackles because he's getting the interceptions in there earlier. In the air, obviously Kande's fantastic. Lervik doesn't do so well in the air. So here's the problem. Albarracin and Yamrog are our players. Kande is not. Neither is Lervik. Lervik, I don't think there's any hope of him coming back next year, and I think it's unlikely that Kande will come back either, but we'll see. I'll try to get both of them, because I'd much rather just have the same players coming back for another season. But I think we really do need to look into, particularly on the right-hand side, backups. In fact, starting right-backs, probably. Like, we've got options on the left with the likes of Rösa coming through, and technically Nikolic as well. There's players in those positions, but it's the right where we really are struggling. And I think I'm going to have to plough a decent amount of funds, potentially, into a right-back. I've been looking, but there just doesn't seem to be any about. And that's the problem at this stage, because we're struggling to find players who could actually improve in those positions. But I feel like Yamrog's just low enough on the ability that we might actually be able to find a decent right-back. That could come in, yeah, maybe cost us 5 million, but if it does, and make a difference for us, to be honest. But that's all I can really say on that one. So let's move on to the DMs. Okay, so it's a tale of 3 DMs. Most of the time, it's Diego Silva that's played, so we're kind of going to use him as an example. Bonavento, we'll keep him around, but I just don't think there's enough data here. Patino's played a decent amount, though. So pass completion, you can see Bonavento actually out on top, but we don't know how many that's out of. That could literally be that he's completed 19 out of 20 passes that he's made. So, although it would appear probably not. Then again, it might have extrapolated it out since he's not played that much. I don't know. We'll see. Diego Silva, though, 93%. Definitely better than Patino. No, not even a close doubt in my mind. Bonavento, he has at least put up some decent numbers in the times he's been here. So that suggests to me that he's at least got something. But again, Silva outstripping Patino. He's a much better... We know that, though. We know that he's a much better attack-minded player, which is why tackles 1, though, Patino is slightly higher, but not that much higher. Bonavento, not too bad. Patino is better at the interceptions, though, than Diego Silva, and he's also better in the air, quite comfortably better in the air. But we can see less goals overall with Diego Silva in the team. Like, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer that Diego Silva is the man for this job. Now, he is our starting DM and hopefully will be for years to come, unless he chooses to leave, which could still happen because he is probably one of the best players in our squad and is still developing at an alarming rate, to be honest. Patino, I feel like he is a player that I could move on safely in the summer with the knowledge that Ignacio Bonavento will be able to do a job in behind him, but I might still look for another youngster to come in there too. But Patino is definitely, I believe, dispensable. Now, I think he's proven this season that he's just not quite up to the challenge anymore. And that's fine. You know, we can get decent money for him. I firmly believe that. I don't know how much we signed him for, but I imagine because he's Colombian that it wasn't a great deal. It was £225,000. I mean, you can't really argue with the output we've had from him for that amount of money. Like, to come in for that price. The one issue, though, and the reason I might keep him around, is the fact that a lot of these guys are going to start to count as homegrown soon, and he might be one of them, which could very much help us in registering players for the Champions League. So it might be sensible to keep him around anyway, just because of that reason and that reason alone. But I would like to still look for a youngster. But what I'm really noticing is that Diego Silva, beautiful man, well done, son. Let's move on to the centre mids. So we're literally really only comparing 2 players. There were so many players that counted for this. I had struggled to actually filter them all out because there's a lot, but they're all out on loan. So really, we're just looking at Orozco and Garcia to see who's actually done the best. And they've played a decent number of minutes. So this is going to be a very, very curious one because Garcia, you feel like, just based on ability alone, should be the one that's winning. But they've got dead heats on average rating, and there's a little bit more potential maybe for Orozco, but that could drop because he's younger. So let's look at this. Goals per 90 minutes. Well, undoubtedly Orozco, because he's played less minutes and he's got 3 goals for us. So he's definitely a better goal scorer. That kind of goes without saying, but not a single assist from a player who is a deep-lying playmaker. Garcia only got 4. I feel like that's a huge drop-off from previous seasons, just based on that alone. Oh, wait, no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Last year, he got 6 goals and 2 assists. Yeah, no, fair enough. I don't know why they thought that, but for whatever reason, he's actually been pretty good this year. So he's less of a goal scorer, but more of a creative player than Orozco. So that's instant disparity between the two. And Orozco can pass the ball better too, but not by much. That's fairly close. But again, Garcia does create chances. Orozco doesn't. Like nothing, not at all. Pass completion, he completes way more passes, 93 passes. In one game, I can't remember which one, he completed 156 passes in one game. That was the number of completed passes, not even the number of attempted passes. Key passes per 90 minutes are dead even, basically. There's nothing between them two, which is great. But he is better at tackling. 96% tackles won is interesting. So he's a goal scorer that can attack a bit more, maybe. Good at interceptions. Obviously, he's worse off in the air. Wait, really? 6'4"? I suppose Orozco has just got the great jumping reach, doesn't he? Yeah, it's still interesting, though, that Garcia is just better in the air. I assume he does have better heading stats. Heading of 11, whereas Orozco's heading is only 12. What the hell? That doesn't make any sense to me. They're the same height. He's got better jumping reach and better heading, and yet he's winning less aerial challenges. Presumably that's because he's not as strong. 15 strength compared to Garcia. It's no way he's got... Oh, he's got 18 strength. Wow, he's got really good physical stats. Bloody hell. Really impressed with that. Team conceded per night. Oh, wait, yeah. So it seems to be that Garcia is a creative man. He's a guy that's going to put stuff on a plate for other people, whereas Orozco is going to score them himself and keep them out of the other end by being a bit more defensive-minded, winning stuff in the air. That's interesting, actually, because Garcia's better in the air, but Orozco's better on the ground. And the point is, we've got two fantastic players in this zone. I will happily sign another youngster there to back them up. But remember, we've still got plenty of those floating around as well. And two really, really top-quality centre mids who have done a decent job for us this year. Orozco's got himself a few goals. Garcia's got some assists. That's not really what their job is. Their job is to keep the play linked up and complete those passes for days. And that is something they have done in aplomb. Really, really happy with those two. I don't see any real big needed changes for those just yet. They've got good, reasonable personalities and determination as well. Obviously, if a youngster comes up, I'll try and sign. There's a guy I've been looking at called Carrasco, who's playing for a Swiss side, and I've been looking at it for a couple of seasons now, but never found the right time to put a bid in, and I might be tempted this summer to go for him. I should have done it earlier when he was cheaper, but we'll see. Anyway, attacking bids now. This is going to be an interesting one. I know I realise I say that after every single one, and it's kind of like a cliche at this point, but I genuinely believe that. So when it comes to attacking mids, we've actually got a fair amount of players. Vyarchik, we're kind of just sort of going to have to ignore from this, really. Victor Luis has played a decent amount, as has Caballo, but we will just see, because some of these guys are a bit younger, see how they're coming through and developing and whatnot. So, goals per 90 minutes. Zvigawa, obviously out there on top with 0.73. Brilliant stuff. Kevin has actually outplayed Brian Gorosito when he's played. He's got 12 goals. He's the second highest goal scorer of the bunch. And he's not played, I mean, he's played less. I mean, then again, he has played 43 games in all competitions this year, Kevin. He's actually been fantastic, both off the bench and on the first team to start with. But it's undeniable that Kevin has got a better rating over those games. So he definitely needs to be considered next year, along with Gorosito. He's put his name forward, and you can't really ignore that. Victor Luis has done all right, but he's actually outperformed Caballo, which means he's probably above him on the pecking order anyway, and he's younger too. So I think next year, Victor Luis is definitely going to get some game time. Assists per 90 minutes. This one I'm curious about. Zvigawa again. Kevin, once again, outperforming Gorosito on that one as well. Zviggy, clearly, massively had a great year. 24 goals and 11 assists in all competitions is brilliant. To contribute 35 goals is superb. But Kevin, he's better. Kevin has done better than Brian Gorosito. And me talking about how Gorosito has been brilliant this year, and he has, but Kevin has really outshone him in some ways. At 5 Man of the Match awards as well is brilliant. So let's see whether there's any other areas that maybe Gorosito is outperforming Kevin. But for the moment, we've got a real setup here of Zvigawa can play brilliantly, but Kevin can literally play in either of those two roles and score goals and create assists. So I think next year he's basically third choice no matter what, at the very minimum. Chances created per 90 minutes. Okay, let's see about that one. Gorosito. Okay, so Gorosito has definitely been better at pure chance creation, and they've maybe just not put them away. So that's one tick in his box, so to speak. What about pass completion? Kevin, 84. Gorosito, 83. Zvigawa, 82, though. He's keeping things nice and tight, though. You know, he's doing a decent job, which is fine. Key passes per 90 minutes, which is quite an interesting one as well. Gorosito at 2.03. Kevin at... The fact that Zvigawa is only at 1.53 and he's got that amount of assists is impressive. Gorosito is definitely better for chance creation and key passes, and maybe we've just got a bit unlucky with the assists, and he has still created some. Maybe it's because of his strike partner, I don't know. But Kevin's just got pure numbers, whereas Gorosito's got the stuff that you'd think would back up those numbers. And I mean, this is another situation here. Headers 1 per 90 minutes. Zvigawa and Kevin. Kevin's up there too. He's winning stuff in the air, and maybe that is what's enabling him to be a little bit more effective. How tall is Kevin? 5'11". And he's not got great heading or jumping reach, so the fact that he's winning that is actually very impressive. It might genuinely be that he has that comes deep to get ball, because someone told me that was a really good PPM to have in this tactic, so I might try and get Gorosito on that as well, and just sort of see how it goes. Shots on target percentage. Kevin, 47. Gorosito down at 41. That might be why he's just not hit the target as much as Kevin has overall. Dribbles per game. How are we doing here? So Gorosito, again, slightly better dribbling, but not by much. And Zvigawa obviously is going to be a little bit low because he's a bit of a lumbering lummox at places. God, it's so weird to see his potential drop so far. And I know that's because with the retraining and whatnot. Nobody's really stood out here yet. But I do feel like these three here, and we're actually in a good spot though with Kevin, Gorosito and Zvigawa. Victor Luis, I feel like, is just about ready to start making regular appearances for us next year. Vyarchik is done. Caballo, I think I will try and move on because of the wages and the money that we could potentially get for that deal, and maybe plough it into another youngster. Now, I have actually just signed, let me see if I can find him actually. I have just signed this guy from Sassuolo, Andrea Seppi. He's coming on for, I think, 250k up front and a little bit more in the back end, just to sort of give us more options in that role. Obviously, he won't be anywhere near ready yet, but I just saw the option to pick him up for relatively low money. Figured it was a reasonable deal for us to be. Oh, and I also went for Bunyamin Eikelenkamp, a young Dutchman as well, who, again, did not cost us a lot of money. I think it was £400,000 this guy's cost to bring him in to give us more options. So we're already kind of stacked in terms of backups for this role. And we have these two coming in as well in the summer is only going to strengthen that, to be perfectly honest. So I actually don't think we need to go and sign there unless I find someone who's ready to go, basically. Because we'd pick these two up for under £1 million combined. And I think that's a reasonable deal, to be perfectly honest. He actually played a lot for Young Utrecht. Got a couple of substitute appearances in the league, but nothing much. As you can also see, Sundergaard's gone, and Eduardo Flores is also leaving in the summer as well. So 700 in total, but that's like over 3 years in the end. So essentially, that's the kind of conclusion that we've come to there. I think we're pretty stacked in that area. There's more to come. I think we're fine. Let's go and check out the final option on the team. Let's go check out the wingers. So last but certainly not least, we have the wing players. Now, Nicholas Pauls hasn't played a lot, but he's got some goals for us, and it's fair to say. Hugo's in there too. Lisik's played a decent amount of minutes too, along with Campagnaro and Peralta. We've got decent minutes from a decent number of players. So let's just check out straight away with goals per 90 minutes. Peralta up there at the most. Victor Hugo, not too bad. Lisik actually down on the bottom of that one. He hasn't contributed as many goals as I would have liked, but he is still young. He's the youngest by a comfortable distance. Like, the next nearest one is for Nicholas Pauls, and he's still 3 years older than him. So I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt because he is so young. And he's only going to get better, you'd feel, with time. Hopefully, anyway. But Peralta doing a great job there. Definitely better than Campagnaro. But Campagnaro is still such a brilliant player in terms of just as a squad player. He's amazing to have. Assists-wise, Peralta, Victor Hugo, and Campagnaro very, very close to each other. Lisik's slightly off the pace there too, and Pauls has provided none. So Victor Hugo still putting up big numbers in terms of goals and assists. It's undeniable that he has still performed better than Lisik, despite maybe his rating waning a little bit. I can't look at that and say that's not the case. Chances created per 90 minutes. Campagnaro, Victor Hugo again. Peralta up there. Lisik again slightly struggling, but Campagnaro really loves creating a chance. He's just such a great backup player. Originally that was what he was supposed to be behind Valerie, but this year he's really fulfilled that role perfectly, contributing goals and assists. He got a hat-trick in one game, which is really, really nice. Lisik again struggling in behind Victor Hugo. Maybe he's not ready to take over as being the starting left winger just yet, and maybe he does need another season as a squad player. Let me know what you think about that one. I'm curious. So cross completed, this is kind of quite a useful one. Pauls, 26%, Lisik, 25%, Victor Hugo, 24%. So that's at least one area where he is at least matching his compatriots. Campagnaro is massively outstripping Ernesto Peralta, though, which is interesting, because Peralta's got really good crossing, which maybe makes you wonder about the other guys on the other end of it aren't making the runs that you want to see. I maybe do want to get them some PPMs to say makes runs into the box or something like that. There's definitely one that we used to have on Pedro over at Stockport, and I think that's a really important PPM to have that could maybe get them more goals in that position. Let me just take a look at Lisik, because he's the one I'd probably train it on now, although he has got the because he's training that, isn't he? So maybe not. We'll just try it on Victor. No, actually, we'll try putting it on Nicholas Pauls, see if that makes any difference, because there's definitely a trait we could get. Oh, bloody hell, what's he training? I can't see. See if Victor Hugo's got space in his training regime. Is he? Yes, he is. Okay, so we want movement, I guess, is what we're looking for here. So it's movement training. There's one in along here. Hug, touchline, beat offside trap, dribbling down, cuts inside, run with the ball. 1, 2, not possible. Gets into the opposition area whenever possible. Yeah, I know they don't think it's a good idea, but like, I just feel like that might actually genuinely help us out dramatically if we had a player with that PPM. I think it's what helped Pedro be so effective with Stockport. Okay, so moving on from that for now, though. Pass completion, Lisik, good passer of the ball, which is nice. He's outstripping those two both quite nicely. Peralta's doing a decent job on that side of things. Key passes per 90 minutes. Campagnaro and Peralta massively out in front. Lisik doing all right on that one too. So he's not fully off the pace yet. Shots on target, Peralta and Victor Hugo. Lisik's okay. It could definitely do with being higher, though. You can see that Peralta and Victor Hugo, 66% is very, very good, and that's the reason that they are scoring the goals they are. Lisik, not bad. Pauls, that's pretty poor, to be fair. Dribbles per game, Lisik out in front now. He's really getting used to that role, and the better he gets at that, the more I'm looking forward to seeing what he can come up with, because he's already outperforming Victor Hugo in that sense of things. So, really, we're stacked on the left-hand side with Victor Hugo, Nicholas Pauls, and Blaise Lisik. And that's only going to get better with Lisik coming into his own. And Nicholas Pauls is still very young, and I think maybe we just underused him this year. And on the right, Peralta's been excellent. Campagnaro is a great backup. I am still looking at that guy, though, from Boca that could take that right-hand side to the next level and give us 3 players in each side that could make us really, really strong for rotation, particularly with injuries and whatnot. But again, it's all coming down to, if I find a quality young player, I'll try to pick them up. If we find ourselves some amazing deal, then I'll try to pick them up. But we're in a real sticky spot with transfers at the moment, where we're just basically having to rely on bringing through our own talent. And I quite like that as an aspect. It's forcing us to have to be more sensible about bringing through players and looking at long-term strategy rather than just trying to sign the best every year, because it just simply isn't possible. So yeah, now let me try and find a word for word of the day. I'm struggling to see anything. I'll tell you what, right, my watch is a Garmin watch, so the word of the day is Garmin. If you've reached this point in the video, about 40 minutes in, drop a like on the video, of course, to let me know if you want me to see me keep doing them, but also write Garmin in the comments. Use it in a sentence, maybe throw people off. They love that kind of thing. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. That'd be superb. And if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, because do that, yeah. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for some transfer goodies. Hopefully I'll be able to rectify this. We'll see what we can do. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.